One of the things that I want to talk about is the importance of mission, because mission is everything to development. One of the things that I have created is a little model. It's a pyramid. So imagine this pyramid. If you're watching, you might want to scratch out something on a sheet of paper in front of you, but just draw a pyramid. At the bottom of the pyramid, just write the word mission. And obviously that's the foundation. That's upon everything that we do in an organization is built upon our mission statement. It articulates in quantifiable terms, or at least it articulates in terms that couldn't be quantifiable, the major emphases of the ministry to which we've committed ourselves. And then at the top of the pyramid, draw a little cloud around the top, like this is Mount Sinai and this is Moses up in the cloud or whatever. But write the word vision. And next to vision, put an equal sign, because vision equals mission accomplished. In other words, if your mission was successful, if all the elements of the mission, each one of the clauses became reality, what would that look like in tangible terms? Vision is pretty important to ministry. Now, I might pause here only to say this. Mission statements are very, very common in organizations. In our country, for example, in order to be incorporated, you have to have a mission statement. In order to be evaluated by accrediting institutions, for example, what they're going to look at is your mission statement. So mission, is extremely important, and oftentimes it's a requirement. Early in my career, I would talk about the importance of a mission statement. And so people would, say, yeah, boy, that's really, really important, and they'd go. And then I'd get these emails or these calls and said, well, can you send us some samples of mission statements? And so in those early days, I did. I sent them some samples, and then they'd send me some literature maybe 3 or 4 months later, and I'd see that one of the samples that I gave them was identical, like one that I had sent to them as an example. And I might have called them. I said, well, that looks a lot like this organization. See, it's exactly, we called them, and they said it would be perfectly okay if we used it, and we just really liked the way it sounded, but they didn't buy it, they didn't own it. And essentially after it was completed and after they fulfilled their requirements in terms of incorporation and so forth, they took the mission statement, they put it in a folder, put it in a filing cabinet, and forgot about it. And so mission statements are somewhat irrelevant to some organizations because they don't own them in the first place, or they never have owned them. Now, vision is oftentimes where I start, because sometimes when I go into an organization, I won't even ask them to see their vision statement. I said, their mission statement. I'll ask them to share with me their vision. And I'll go to a board meeting, and I'll just sit there with a piece of paper, and I said, if you were totally successful in what it is that you've committed yourself to doing, what would it look like? And I keep pressing them by asking them questions. What would a graduate look like? What would they know? How would they be living 10 years from now as it relates to their lives spiritually, as well as in the ways that you're equipping them to do the work that they're being prepared to do, and so forth. And I'll just ask them all kinds of questions. And then I'll go back to my hotel room, and I'll kind of play with it for a while, and then I'll come up with a statement, that I think reflects what it is that they just told me. And so I'll take that statement back the next day, and then I'll ask them to bring out their mission statement. And I'll say, okay, here's your vision statement. That says, how close does your mission, as you articulated it, however long ago, how does that match up in accomplishing, or does it match up in accomplishing what it is that you're really doing? And 9 times out of 10, they'll say, we just need to change our mission statement, because we didn't have a clue what we were really good at when we started. And now we know a whole lot more about how we want to do and what it is that we want to accomplish. But mission is important, but I think you need to evaluate it in terms of what it is that you're doing and how it matches up. So vision is important. I talk to people a lot about talking with others about their organization, and one of the things I always share with them is, lead with your mission, not with your need. I mean, the realities are that everybody has needs, but not everybody has a compelling vision. And it's going to be vision that's going to capture the imaginations of people in the kinds of ways that we really want to capture their imagination. And I've known some great visionaries. Bill Bright and Jim Dobson and are two that have really had an impact on my life. Bruce Wilkerson, we were involved a lot with Bruce and Walk with the Bible and the Co-Mission Project years and years ago. And I just love their vision. I just love being around them because they were visionaries and they were engaging. You just kind of wanted to jump on their boat because you knew it was really going to go someplace. Now, there are 2 other things that make up that pyramid. There's steps that go up the right side or the left side of the pyramid. You know, let's say each one of those steps, maybe there's 10 steps from the bottom to the top, and each one of those steps represents a year. And inside those steps, we'll put some numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And each one of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those things represent things that we're going to do that particular year that are going to move us from where it is we are to where it is that we want to go. And I call that the strategic plan. And the defining characteristic of a strategic plan is that it's quantifiable. In other words, if you can't measure your success in terms of where it is that you're going, you don't have a strategic plan. What you have is a good idea. And there are a lot of organizations that have great ideas but have not a clue how to get there because they don't have a plan in place. And then the final part of the pyramid is a stairway that goes up the other side of the pyramid, you know, that is equivalent to the one on the other side. And I call that the development plan. And the development plan states, again, in quantifiable terms, what it is that needs to be done this year, next year, and the years thereafter to provide the resources that will be required in order to be able to accomplish the strategic planning initiatives. Now, here's some interesting statistics if you're interested. I think they're intriguing. 98% of all nonprofit organizations in the world, you know, have a strategic plan. Have a mission statement, which probably doesn't surprise you. In fact, you're saying, why not 100%? Well, those that don't oftentimes are churches, interestingly enough, because they figure that if you're a church, you kind of know what our mission is. But each church that I've ever been in has a unique focus in terms of what it is that they're seeking, the ways that they're seeking to fulfill the Great Commission that makes them very, very unique and you know, to their particular constituency. And then you have vision, and there's only about just over 50% of organizations have a written vision statement. This is what it is we're striving to achieve. This is what we want our outcomes to look like. That's, I think, increasing over the last several years because I know that I have, and I know people that do a lot of the things that I do, have really been focusing on that lately to a greater extent than we ever have in the past because we realize how important outcomes are. And then you have strategic planning. Only 12% of organizations have strategic plans. That's kind of the roadmap that says we know what the destination is, we know where we are now, we know the journey we're going to take to get there. But only 12% have a map that they're tracking on a regular basis where they are in their destination that they have prepared for. And then the other area is the developmental plan. And that's where I spent most of my career. I've told people for years that if you could tell me where you want to be, when you want to be there, and how much it's going to cost to get you there, I can tell you what it is that you need to do next week in the kind of quantifiable terms that are going to enable you to do it. But only less than 3%, 2.6% of organizations have a development plan. Now, we've talked a little bit in some of the earlier sessions that we've chatted about, you know, the demographic crisis and how that's going to impact organizations and the potential loss that's going to be realized in the years to come. Well, who are going to be the organizations that aren't going to last? The 60% that probably will be lost by the year 2018. Well, I think you can probably know. You know, the organizations that don't have a plan, that don't have a clue how to get there, not only in terms of the planning, but the developmental side of things, they're going to be the ones that are going to be the most frequently lost. And what's going to be lost is the impact that they've provided in reaching people with the gospel of Christ. So what we're talking about is not just, you know, this is just like interesting information. I mean, this is life and death for most organizations that may be watching here today.